Hello, I'm going to do a short little video here on the Sunfire Cinema Grand Signature. Now this is the original unit. There's a number 2 now. This one had a bit of an issue. It blew up one of the amplifier channels. So the 1, 2, 3, 4 here and 4 on the other side output transistors have been replaced on this channel. It was the right, which one was it? The right left channel was in fact blown up on this one. So that did some damage. When that channel let go, it of course it shorted 2 of these output transistors, and they're not available anymore. And well, I shouldn't say that, they are available, but apparently there's a lot of counterfeit on those. So I've decided to replace the whole channel so it worked properly. I use this amplifier in a bi-amping situation, similar as you can see right here. So this is just a speaker setup here for test purposes, as this amplifier had some issues. So after replacing the output transistors in the channel, 2 of the fuses here, which is an amp card here, 2 of these fuses were blown for this channel that the transistors shorted. So it needed the fuses replaced, the transistors replaced, and it unfortunately damaged the power supply, which is here on the front. It actually shorted the board out a bit, so we had to be a bit creative here with this. And it's not really focusing too well here, but you can see this Mosfet here had actually shorted in that damage. So with that Mosfet shorted, it burned up the resistor here. So that had to be replaced as well, and it burnt the trace, so it was just soldered right to the lead of the Mosfet, instead of trashing the entire board, which was recommended to me when it went defective. But I didn't want to get rid of the amplifier. I wanted to attempt a repair. But one thing I'm going to show you about this is if you have one of these Sunfire amplifiers and you're getting a hum sound through the speakers. I was having an issue with that previous to this power supply damage. So the power supply damaged the transistors. This was all repaired, and the amplifier came back to life. Previously, what it was doing was, when the amplifier channel was broken, I thought it was fine to just disconnect the amplifier channel and hook it up a different way. But what ended up happening was, because the power supply was damaged and I was unaware, all the output transistors on the amplifier were getting hot. And there's no heatsink per se, just this aluminum plate that the amplifier is comprised of here is what everything's mounted to for a heatsink, if you will. Generally those don't get hot, but because there was a blown Mosfet here in this down tracker, this power supply, it was unable to put the correct voltage to the transistors, and they were getting hot. So all this was repaired, fired back up. Now it's running cool again. Perfect. But still had the humming sound. Mostly through the woofers you'd hear a humming sound. And it wasn't horrible, but it appeared that it was getting worse as time went on. And I've just repaired that, and I wanted to share with you what that repair was. So if you have a Sunfire amplifier like this, I don't know if the Series 2, the newer ones, do it, but I know these for sure do. Here's a pair of resistors up here in the right corner. If you have them here, they're R1 and R2. And then there's some capacitors. There's some other capacitors along the board here. These resistors get quite warm when the unit's operating, and they're in fairly close proximity to these capacitors, heating them up. Not too bad, but I've replaced all of the capacitors on this board in this power supply area, and I brought it back to life gently with this current limiting device I built. If you have any questions, just post them, or comments. The heck, I might be wrong on something here and you may want to correct me or comment. But anyhow, these were replaced. These resistors, the board was darkened around them. You could tell they were running hot. They were still to spec, but I've replaced them anyway, just as good measure. And changed all these. Now that did not repair the humming sound. It continued to hum. But then I found something interesting. If you look in this box here, I've got a series of spare parts. Now I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up, but you can see these are the parts that I've replaced. Some of these capacitors, if you look at them, are a nice bright blue. Some of them have turned to like a dark gray blue. This is more the original color. These have discolored from heat. Particularly these four were bad. There was two other ones that were starting to go discolored, and it's that one and that one. You can't really, or sorry, that one and that one. You can't really tell because they're because of the camera, but you can see that this one is clearly. Wow, this is harder than it looks through the camera. This is clearly different than this one in color. And that was because those were subject to heat. Now I'm going to show you where those are located. And these capacitors were the hum in the amplifier. So after replacing these, the amplifier is quiet again and is happy. If you look at these boards here, this is a 5-channel model. Okay, so this board here and is a single audio channel. This has 2. This is 2 as well. These two boards are almost the same, except for this one has the built-in circuit. You see the switch here. It's got the built-in circuit for auto on-off power through this board. This one's quite a bit different altogether. Now you'll look at on this board here. I don't know if you'll be able to make it out, but there's R77, which is the resistor right next to the fuses, and then there's R76. Those are both metal film resistors that get quite hot in operation. You could just tell by the way the board's discolored. It's just the nature of the way this particular amplifier runs. And if we jump up to this one, you can see those same 2 resistors that's not good. You can see those same 2 resistors here and here are in really close proximity to these 2 capacitors. Same with on this board. You can see how, there we go. You can see how close that resistor is to those capacitors. And those resistors run 90-something degrees. They get warm. What ended up happening was the heat had dried out those capacitors and they tested bad. So after replacing those capacitors, I also replaced again these resistors for good measure as well, and increased the value or the wattage on them and replaced the capacitors. I also replaced the other capacitors, the other larger electrolytic capacitors to low ESR, Panasonic, good quality capacitor. So that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free. Support on this particular amplifier of these vintage is nearly impossible. Nobody wants to really work on them, or schematics aren't really available. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'm not sure I'll be able to help, but I may be able to give some advice if you have one of these amplifiers that's acting up. Just keep in mind, if you don't know what you're touching, do not open one of these. There's dangerous voltages in here that are present even after the power's been disconnected. So keep in mind for that.